History is not just a timeline of kings, wars, and inventions. It is a mirror, showing us who we were, who we are, and who we might become. Every age believed it was modern. Every generation thought it was the peak of progress. And yet, across centuries, one truth remains: human nature does not change as quickly as our tools. The ancients walked through deserts, fought in forests, prayed in stone halls, and recorded their fears on parchment. We scroll, click, rush, and speak into glowing screens. But the lessons they left us still whisper beneath the noise of our age. Today, we are going to explore the timeless insights, carved not into stone tablets, but into the patterns of human struggle and triumph, that still matter now more than ever. Imagine sitting in a dimly lit room of a medieval monastery. A monk bends over parchment, his quill scratching slowly, each letter a labor of concentration. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. By the time a single manuscript is complete, seasons may have changed. And this was normal. Patience was not an abstract virtue, it was a daily requirement. Farmers lived by the rhythm of the earth. A seed planted in spring could not be rushed into harvest. The sailor had to wait for favorable winds. The builder of a cathedral might die before the final stone was laid, yet he worked with devotion, knowing he was only part of a story larger than himself. Contrast this with today: a 2-day shipping delay feels unbearable, a loading bar tests our nerves, and we call waiting wasted time. Our impatience is not trivial, it shapes how we think, how we work, how we relate to others. Without patience, we demand results before mastery is earned. We abandon efforts the moment progress is not immediate. We expect growth to be fast, forgetting that all true strength is slow. The ancients remind us, patience is not weakness, it is power disguised. It is the ability to withstand frustration, to keep working when nothing appears to change, to trust the unseen process. Civilization itself was built by people willing to endure long, invisible seasons of effort. And in our age of instant gratification, recovering this ancient patience may be one of the most radical and necessary acts. For most of history, life was shaped by boundaries. The day ended when the sun went down, because candles and oil were expensive. Travel ended when the horse grew tired or the river froze. News traveled only as fast as a messenger could run. These limits may seem restrictive, but they gave people structure. The natural world imposed balance: work was followed by rest, growth by dormancy, effort by pause. Today, limits seem almost erased. We carry light in our pockets, scroll endlessly into the night, and live under the illusion that everything is available all the time. We demand constant productivity, constant entertainment, constant connection. And yet, the more limitless life appears, the more exhausted we feel. The absence of boundaries does not liberate us, it overwhelms us. The ancients knew that boundaries were not enemies but guardians. A craftsman in a guild could not work forever, tools wore down, hands grew tired, daylight ran out. These restrictions forced him to use energy wisely, to focus on quality rather than endless output. Warriors trained their bodies but also knew when rest was necessary, for fatigue in battle meant death. Farmers accepted that no amount of willpower could make wheat grow faster. Our world teaches us that more is always better: more hours, more work, more consumption. But the past teaches something different: that restraint is the hidden foundation of freedom. To say no is to make room for what truly matters. To accept limits is not to give up, it is to live within a rhythm that sustains rather than destroys. The medieval day ended with the bell of the monastery. Perhaps today, we too need to learn the art of ringing our own bells, marking the sacred boundary between work and rest. In ancient times, survival was never an individual task, it was collective. A farmer could not harvest his fields alone, neighbors came together in exchange for help on their own land. A blacksmith did not simply make tools, he belonged to a guild that ensured fair wages, shared secrets of the craft, and protected him from exploitation. Even warriors marched in phalanxes and shield walls, understanding that a single soldier was vulnerable but a united front was nearly unstoppable. Community was more than companionship, it was survival insurance. Illness, famine, war, these were threats too great for any one person to withstand. But in the company of others, burdens were distributed, resources were pooled, and resilience was multiplied. A village feast after harvest was not mere celebration. It was a reaffirmation of bonds that could mean the difference between endurance and collapse in the hard months ahead. Modern life, however, glorifies the lone individual. We admire the self-made person, the independent achiever, the myth of the solitary genius. And yet, beneath the surface, loneliness quietly corrodes us. We live in crowded cities but often feel more isolated than villagers who saw the same 50 faces every day of their lives. Digital networks give us contacts but not true connection. The lesson of history is simple but urgent: no one thrives alone. Brotherhoods, guilds, tribes, councils, all these structures were built to remind people that their strength was amplified in unity. To belong to a community was not weakness but power. In moments of crisis, it was often the network of relationships, not wealth, not status, that determined survival. The past invites us to reimagine our independence. To understand that asking for help is not defeat but wisdom. That sharing burdens does not dilute strength but multiplies it. True resilience is not isolation, it is interdependence. And if we forget this, we risk becoming a generation surrounded by endless connections yet starving for genuine community. The ancients had silence. Long walks through forests, nights under stars, hours of prayer or meditation. Stillness was not a luxury, it was woven into daily existence. We, on the other hand, fear it. We fill every empty second with screens, sounds, and updates. Yet the past teaches us, stillness is where the mind sharpens. Leaders, monks, and warriors alike trained their thoughts in silence before they acted in noise. The lesson is clear: without silence, wisdom cannot take root. Every empire believed it would last forever. Every generation believed its problems were the worst. But scrolls, ruins, and chronicles remind us, time humbles all. Rome fell. Great kings were forgotten. What terrified one era became trivial to the next. Perspective is the gift of history. It reminds us that today's chaos is not the end of the story. Our struggles are real, but not final. To see life through the long lens of time is to carry both humility and hope. When we look back, we see that patience, limits, and community were not optional, they were the architecture of human life. They shaped how people endured, how they worked, how they survived together. Today, we have speed without patience, abundance without limits, and networks without true community. But the lessons carved into the past are not lost, they are waiting for us to recover them. The future will not be built by those who chase every impulse, but by those who endure like the monk, who accept boundaries like the craftsman, who stand united like the warrior. The ancients remind us, progress is fragile unless it is grounded in timeless truths. And if we are wise enough to carry these lessons forward, we may not only survive our age of noise, we may rediscover what it truly means to live.